Hi, so just a quick video to talk through those other couple of questions you sent in. So the first one was about you wanted to pre-screen participants scoring within certain cat ranges um, on the questionnaire. So what you can do in this case is you can just export the entire data set and then filter once you actually get into Excel, or sort when you get into Excel based on the scoring column to like put like the highest scores to the top and lowest, etc. If you don't already have the scores in here, which are not there at the moment, what you can do is you can do tools, choose columns, and then pull in your scoring categories. If you have scoring categories, actually, I'm not sure if you do. So whatever score you're talking about here, there might be like a question or something that's referring to score. You could just insert that and then just use the sort function in Microsoft Excel to sort by from top or highest to lowest, for example. You could also instead actually add a filter, which basically says, for if you have a score, you could set your filter to say if they've scored higher than this and lower than this. So if they're in a certain range or if they've scored above a certain amount, then only filter those and show those responses that meet the criteria. And once you have all of those filtered out, so you're only seeing the responses you're interested in, you can then go to export and export the data table, and that takes into consideration any filter you have set up there. So that's just one thing to bear in mind, that you can just do that filtering before you actually even export, if that saves you some time. The other thing you can do is, you mentioned that you want to sort by participant ID. So you can do that by just choosing the column, going to survey metadata, and there is a response ID here, or if you have another field that's a response ID. I'm not sure if you have something here that's like a response ID that you want to sort by, but basically add that column in, and then when you export to Excel again, you can just use like the sort column to sort them by like ascending or descending or in alphabetical order or whatever you want to put them in, so you can identify who each respondent is and whose answers they actually belong to. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you were looking for, but hopefully that answers your question. What you were also asking about is when you export your data, you want it to be in numerical format rather than like text format, so that you can actually use it in SPSS. So if we go to download data table, this should by default be in values as configured. So they're going to be your the values, but you can also try numeric values if you prefer that. You can check that out. Only choice text should actually pull in the actual words, so things like always, sometimes, etc. should only pull in if you use choice text. These ones should just be the recode values, the internal values associated with your responses that you can use in SPSS. But there is also a file here that's SPSS, already built for SPSS, that you can just download that instead. That also goes for the other data export right here. You can also do SPSS export, but if you click into more options, there's often in CSV especially, there's use numeric values, which are those recode values, or the choice text, which again would just be like your always, sometimes, and so on. So by default, it should just pull in numbers rather than text. So hopefully that is what you're looking for. The last question then was about filters. If you use it, would you have to select it each time you download a new participant's data? So yeah, this, every time you refresh the page, this would disappear, or like every time you leave, it would disappear. Log out and log back in again. You can just apply it. It should stay there actually. I just realized it should stay there, but like if you want to change it, obviously you just change it here and then export a new data set. So it's completely up to you. You don't need to use filters, but if you think in the case like with scoring, if you only want to export data that belongs to specific scoring groups, then you can just add your filter, identify the responses you're interested in, and then just export those, instead of having to export the entire data set and then filter outside of Qualtrics using Excel to find the columns that you're interested in. So I hope that has answered your questions, but please let me know if any of that is unsure, if I didn't address any of your questions.